morning, good afternoon, good evening. Some of us have said repeatedly, ever since the 2013 new constitution was passed, that it is a weak, feeble, and unworkable document. It has failed to deliver the freedoms and the basic fundamental rights and the rule of law that one would expect the Constitution to deliver. It is therefore interesting that anyone would now pretend that it is a masterpiece and we must all come out in defense of it. The whole constitution making process was flawed. That is the reality. And I'll just play you an audio of the COPAC, one of the COPAC meetings. That's the Constitution-making Parliamentary Committee that drafted the new constitution.
Why are you so angry for?
Yes, because you're insulting my intelligence.
But how?
You are insulting my intelligence. By deliberately misinterpreting. It's so clear.
I'm not insulting.
I'm arguing with the PhD.
The debate is out of order.
Now with that disagreement, I think it's futile for us to proceed.
I don't seem to appreciate whether we are making much movement here. Let me just say, that the spirit under which we want to work is that people here must be free, must feel free to contribute. I may share the same sentiments with you, I may not share the same sentiments with you. So, okay, fine, there is debate there. There is disagreement on whether this content is within the instruction or not. I think to be fair to the drafters, their interpretation of the mandate was not outrageous.
If we want to continue on this route, in it, we stop here. I seek further political instructions on the way forward.
Okay.
On whether or not, with this level of disobedience, we can continue to have the same drafters even to reconsider this way.
You see, we are mixing two things.
Yeah, no matter because I have a lot of analysis I've done, yes. And I say to myself, and I go back to my party and say, this is what I instructed the drafters to do. This is what they have done. And the analysis is showing a certain percentage. You follow my instructions. Are they capable of following instructions? Can I repose trust and confidence in them?
Whether we are going to stop or whatever, it's up to you. But the issue is, I am not going to stop giving my opinion because it will offend you. I'm a Zimbabwean entitled to give my opinion. I am a lawyer by profession. I'm a lawyer by training. You need to appreciate that. But we are saying, is it justified?
We don't want to argue whether it's justified
or it's not
justified.
It is not a misconduct.
Chairman,
drafters the drafters did what they did and not to fire them.
No, I said I'm not firing them. But push argument, you go a justifier. You are now pushing me to also take the argument of firing. If you push justification and I will not fire. If you justify it, I'll fire.
Right.
Mozora. Na mangwana waku. Manga
So you and the project have to be destroyed.
Me and the project to be destroyed.
So they wanted it to be an accident.
Yeah. Basically, they wanted an accident. Then they send word to the teams which are teammates. And the teams then said, let's destroy him and the project. So when I visited the general and put my cards on the table, and then he grouped all the people who wanted to be involved in the whole thing. It was a powerful team. Those who know, who are in the know, even in my part right now, they're saying, we do not know how you survived.
This is what is so interesting. There is no doubt that the whole conduct of the constitution drafting process, Zanu PF bullied the opposition. The opposition, it must be said, were heavily compromised. There is no doubt that Mugabe bribed the opposition leaders with the trappings of high office, their E-class Mercedes-Benz for all the deputy ministers, right up to the prime minister himself, very generous salaries and allowances during the GNU, and for Save himself, a $4 million US mansion in Highlands. And it has since emerged that opposition leaders got farms and cash for other things. So there is no doubt that the opposition was compromised. And once they were in Zanu PF's pockets, it was equally easy to see how they were easily bribed. So this is the reality that we have got to deal with. A compromised opposition. And with a compromised opposition, Zanu PF was able to bully and bamboozle them to accept a weak and feeble constitution. Paul Mangwana, the Zanu PF representative in that process, boasted soon after the 2013 referendum that Mugabe dictated the 2013 constitution. And hence the reason why it is not a democratic constitution, it's a dictator's decree. And this is why we have had endless problems, among them why it has failed to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. This is the reality. Zanu PF, ever since that constitution was passed, has ring-fenced that constitution, particularly its dictatorial powers. What we are seeing through this constitutional amendment number 3 is the regime consolidating its dictatorial powers by seeking to dilute even those few rights that the Constitution had to increase its own dictatorial powers. The argument I have said and will repeat here is that we should not be focusing on the additional powers the regime is seeking through Amendment number 3. But we should be focused on what we already have lost because that constitution is weak. Because by focusing on the additional powers the regime is seeking for itself in Amendment number 3, we are moving ourselves into a trap. Like it or not, by the nation focusing on the Amendment number 3, is forgetting that the present constitution has failed to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. That Zanu PF has got overwhelming dictatorial powers to rig elections. And as long as that power is still there, whether we manage to stop Amendment number 3 or not, Zanu PF will still be able to rig the elections and stay in power. We'll be where we are now. Let's face it, at the present moment, Zanu PF does not have the powers that Amendment number 3 is proposing. But even then, without those powers, as we have seen since 2013, the regime still has enormous powers. It has been able to rig elections and to get away with it. Our focus must be on accepting that this 2013 constitution is weak, and we need to implement the democratic reforms so that it's finally able to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. Failure to do so, we need to stop making sure that we do not participate in flawed elections to give Zanu PF legitimacy and perpetuate the dictatorship. We have to look at this in the light of what is happening. We have the opposition who have now since mobilized in defense of the Constitution, as they call it. Some of them have vowed to die protecting this Constitution. Interestingly enough, they were the same individuals who were in the GNU, and they never showed any of that level of passion and dedication to making sure that the Constitution, the 2013 Constitution, was a democratic one.
That is to say, 2/3 in the National Assembly and 2/3 in the Senate. It must then go to a referendum, because it is a bill altering term limits in the country. The referendum is a simple process, Baba. The referendum simply asks whether you are saying yes or no. Because we are going to campaign and live in the mountains to get that no vote. There's a second problem. The Constitution then says, when you change this Constitution and you remove the term limits, it doesn't benefit the incumbent.
It benefits the next.
It benefits the next. But you can change that provision.
Same process.
Yeah, we call it the Abdoulaye Wade provision. Because President Abdoulaye Wade amended the Constitution for a third time, and Senegalese said, it can't benefit you. And he lost at that stage. And that's why President Sall came in. And as fat as it, as you know, President Macky Sall also tried to change the constitution to benefit him. Yet he came through a process of rejecting a third term agenda. Right. That's why you can't trust people. But anyway, to come back to the legal process. Another referendum is required now to change the constitutional provision that says you can't benefit. That's when we will see Trababala's true colors, because all along you'll be saying, I don't want Vandova Akuda. Now when he says, now the Akuda, the constitution has to go to a referendum for the second time. Baba, pakaipa. Tusangana makomo, tusangana kwa Chendabwe, tusangana ku Lotito, tusangana ku Eskodini, tusangana ku Binga, tusangana ku Cholocho. He can't win those referendums. He cannot win those referendums.
Okay.
So to put it very crudely, the idea of a third term agenda is fraught with such legal landmines that you would have to be so ambitious, so insane, so drunk, or both to ever think that it can actually carry out and see the light of the day.
Well. He is not the only opposition leader who has claimed that Mnangagwa will not be able to push through amendment number 3. Professor Lafmo Maduka said the same thing. I think they are being naive. We have got in Zanu PF a regime that has carried out such acts as the Kukurawundi massacre, the 2008 electoral coup, the military coup of 2017. I believe those acts are more serious than the regime bullying and bamboozling the nation on this amendment number 3. They are arguing that they don't need to go to a referendum. They can win that argument. And it will be very naive to believe that they will never win it. Because they control all the state institutions. The courts, parliament, the judiciary, and they have foot soldiers in the form of war veterans who can bully and silence the overwhelming majority of our citizens out there. And they've already started doing it. So it is naive to claim that they cannot win they cannot push through this amendment number 3. They can. They've done worse things. But the issue that must be understood here is that as much as even if the nation was to be mobilized and to stop the regime implementing amendment number 3, many people have been made to believe that this will be the Holy Grail. The nation would finally have achieved what we've been fighting for all these years to end this Zanu PF dictatorship? My answer to that is not true. Zanu PF will still has a lot of dictatorial powers to rig elections, and they will rig the next elections. All who would have succeeded in stopping Amendment number 3 going through is making sure that Mnangagwa does not stay in office beyond 2028. I think it is worrying that we should set our goals so low. We had the same mentality in 2017 when we supported the military coup of 2017. Our goal was to make sure that Mugabe goes. We succeeded in that. But at what cost? At the cost of pushing for the real far-reaching democratic changes, which would have ended the Zanu PF dictatorship. All we managed to do is, instead of ending the Zanu PF dictatorship, we only managed to swap one dictator for another. Focusing on stopping Amendment number 3 will accomplish similar things. We'll have stopped Mnangagwa staying on as the dictator, but get another Zanu PF dictator, Chwenga. That, to me, is not a victory. It's an empty victory, a meaningless victory. We are not here to help in removing one dictator to replace him with another. We should be looking at the bigger picture and the dictatorship itself. And for that, you have got to accept that the 2013 constitution is weak. And this is why I've emphasized again and again that we should be absolutely focused on implementing the democratic reforms to make sure that future elections are free, fair, and credible. Failure to do so, we should be absolutely focused on making sure we do not participate in a flawed process, only to give the vote rigging Zanu PF legitimacy. At the present moment, this fight to stop Amendment number 3 is taking the nation's attention away from implementing the reforms, and secondly, from making sure that we do not participate in flawed elections. Because let me rest assure you, as much as the likes of Tendai Biti would want us to believe that he is prepared to die to defend the Constitution, he is only positioning himself to participate in the next elections, even if there's not even one token reform that has been implemented. He will still participate in those flawed elections. How do I know that? Because he has participated in flawed elections in the past. And he is, at present moment, literally obsessed with fighting amendment number 3, knowing fully well that even if he succeeded, that will not stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. But he doesn't want us to talk about the flawed elections because he doesn't want us to ask him why he failed to implement reforms when he had the golden chance to do so. So all the individuals who are now leading in this so-called defense of the Constitution, Love Momaduku, Douglas Monzora, Timba, Tendai Biti, etc., etc., they've all participated in flawed elections in the past, and they will participate in the next flawed elections. And as long as the opposition participate and they con their followers to do the same, and they participate in their millions, you will give Zanu PF legitimacy. So as far as Zanu PF is concerned, this constitutional amendment number 3, yes, the party, or rather the individual, Emerson Mnangagwa, will lose if it doesn't sail through. But the party would win. Because all the powers to rig the elections are not being touched by amendment number 3. It was only seeking to add additional powers. And those powers are enough to rig elections, as we have seen. If they succeed, if amendment number 3 is passed through, Zanu PF Mnangagwa will have his wish to stay in power beyond 2028. And the party will also have its wish. It still has the dictatorial powers that it has as of this moment. And amendment number 3 seeks to give them, the regime, additional powers. The president will be able to nominate even more senators, for instance. And if the elections are going to be, the president in future is going to be elected by members of parliament, Zanu PF, by being able to nominate all these people, is guaranteed of winning the presidency, because it has got an inbuilt majority already in the system. The best position for the nation is to realize that the fight is to implement the democratic reforms to ensure that we have free, fair, and credible elections. This nonsense of saying that this constitution is a democratic one is nonsense. We are defending a system that has failed to deliver. We are focusing our minds on the amendment when we should be focusing on the present constitution itself. And like I said, we know why it is weak. Zanu PF bullied the compromised MDC leaders to accept a dysfunctional constitution during the GNU. That is the reality. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.